Hello, I'm David Kain. I'm the president of Kain Automotive, and I'm excited to bring you a guest all the way from Israel today. His name is Aharon Horwitz, and he's the CEO of AutoLeadStar. And a lot of you are going to be in a position where if you're paying real close attention to your search dynamics, search engine optimization, and search engine marketing, you're going to have heard about AutoLeadStar. But to a lot of you, you're going to be sitting here saying, I'm not familiar with AutoLeadStar. Tell me a little bit more about that. So you'll appreciate in this interview, Aharon is the CEO, and he actually has been involved in the development of all of their products and services. He knocked on my door several years ago and said, listen to me. I've got something that will be really valuable for your clients if you just let me have an opportunity.
That's a kind way to describe it, David. I think I dragged you down in a conference.
So what I'd like to do, Aharon, is if you would, please say hello to the audience and introduce yourself, and more importantly, tell us a little bit about AutoLeadStar and what you imagined it could do for dealers and what it's proving to do for dealers.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for having me on, David. It's a pleasure. I always enjoy it. Now that you pay attention to me, so no, really, it's been absolutely wonderful interacting with you and your community. What we are is pretty simple. You could think of us almost as a sort of futuristic marketing agency in a box. But what we do is deliver on all the marketing functions that a dealership needs to engage its customers and drive to sales. But we do it in a way that's powered by the types of technology that are really important for dealers to be engaging with. AI, really tight micro-segmentation, and then full automation. So just to kind of elaborate on that, a dealer that uses AutoLeadStar pretty much is going to have all of their paid and display and social marketing run in a fully automated way, where they're able to, of course, go in and control and interact. But if they want, the machine just runs, and it runs in a fully transparent, very kind of user-friendly way, but it brings amazing results because it's building on the insight that can only be developed by that type of kind of future-oriented technology. And then as folks use AutoLeadStar, they will send traffic to their website. And then on the website, we have a kind of on-site concierge waiting to greet the customer and engage with the customer with the offers and the kind of insights that we predict they want. And then we take all the data that we can gather from the dealership and we bring it back into that technology to create a really virtuous cycle. So ultimately, dealers are getting kind of the next gen of marketing when they work with us. We developed it really from a recognition and an interest in kind of how small, medium businesses and kind of enterprises that don't have access to the stuff that Fortune 500 companies do, how can we bring those tools and techniques and make them extremely accessible for every single business? And interestingly, with AutoLeadStar, we come from outside of auto. We were introduced to auto 6-7 years ago, became very deeply embedded here. And we really brought this technology from the outside into auto and fully fitted it to the automotive experience. And since then, we work with some really amazing dealers across the country, with many of the brands in the industry, and really just try to help the dealers give their customers a great experience and bring high quality leads.
So let's talk about the automation aspects of it, because robotics, automation, artificial intelligence, machine learning, all of those are buzzwords in the industry, and yet there's an element of trust that goes into this, right? And if I'm a listener, I'm probably sitting there going, well, I kind of like the fact that Joe or Jenny is my person that I correspond to, and they use my thoughts and then the thoughts that they've got experientially over the years. Do I really trust this machine or artificial intelligence or automation, whatever you might want to call it, to actually facilitate something that drives traffic to my website? And I love what you were describing, because that's kind of a new one for me, is that when it arrives on the website, you condition the experience based on that search query, so to speak.
It's so interesting because I think that it's sometimes a misnomer when you say, oh, these automated platforms like what we offer are not imbued with kind of humanity and humanness and touch. You could talk to our customer success reps and ask, how removed are they from the account? Oh no, they're very in the account, and our dealers are very in the account. But what's, I think, important to put out there is that the days when we could market to someone based on very simple parameters, gender, location, or a little bit more advanced, people who wear I'm from Cleveland, people who wear a Browns hat or maybe an Indians hat, maybe they're more football versus baseball. Let's kind of orient that way. We're even beyond that. And I think the world that we're in now, and the world in where Google and Facebook and the platforms we want to find the shoppers on operate, it really requires technology and smart technology to help those platforms do what they need to do with the dealer's audience and the dealer's information. And so it's our opinion that if you build a platform that is, and I'm not just talking about AutoLeadStar, I'm talking about where everything's going. You need to build a platform that's, on the one hand, extremely transparent, where everything can be seen and tracked, monitored, audited. Yet at the same time, you are allowing the technology to do the work that needs to happen to be effective in marketing today. And again, it's very evolutionary here, right? You think about the history of automotive marketing. I mean, there was a time where automotive digital marketing was having a webpage with a few pictures of cars. Or there was a time before that where it's just my picture in my showroom and my phone number, my email, right? And then the guy next door said, oh, they've got their showroom up. I'm going to put up some cars. And the guy after that said, oh, they've got their cars up. I'm going to put up prices. Oh, they've got prices. It kind of evolved, right? And that's true, by the way, about all the technology from the days of horses on, right? It's evolved. And I'd say that in the 90s, you saw the advent of sort of AutoTrader and Cars.com and kind of the big aggregator and classified sites. And what happened then was that the dealers were essentially kind of, they were almost disaggregated from their customer. They were removed from their customers. Suddenly there was a checkpoint, nothing to do with these companies. They did a very good job, but the dealers weren't as in contact and is immediate for their customers. And over time, I think dealers played in that world. They said, hey, we're going to buy traffic and we're going to buy leads. And those folks have the traffic and the eyeballs. But over time, the dealers said, well, hey, the world is now a digital first world, right? The back door became a front door, as one of our dealers is fond of saying, one of our dealer partners. And they said, well, hey, how do I get my own identity brand and kind of direct engagement with the customers back? And that was when dealers really began to sort of shift things a bit and say, hey, in addition to working with the aggregators and the listing sites, now I'm also going to focus on my own brand, my own identity, my own direct to customer interactions. And I believe that phase now is proven itself to be worthwhile. We've seen dealers really be successful at driving traffic. What's coming next is where dealers are going to say, you know what, if it's a digital first world, not only do I need to have my own digital conduit to my customers alongside the cars and the AutoTrader and the car gurus, I also need to have my own embedded technology suite that I own and use and can fully kind of stamp with my identity, so that I'm able to fully control that digital shopping experience from the moment we engage them in the shopping malls like Google and Facebook until they actually come to either our digital or physical showroom. So my contention and our contention at AutoLeadStar and many other companies is that there's this evolution where dealers are now going to truly become digital first businesses. They're going to probably be bringing more marketing activities in-house, and they're going to need the technologies that the agencies and advanced marketers outside of auto are using to be successful. And that's really our thesis of our whole business. If you want to be ready for the future, you want to be a digital first business, your showroom is critical. Digital first, bring the tech in-house, own it, make it your platform, have the AI, quote unquote, adjust to you and your needs and your inventory, and then you're going to be a top level brand and compete with all the truly online companies that we're seeing in the news all the time. That's sort of the nutshell, David, of what we believe, and why I'd say even if you're uncomfortable, you can feel comfort once you start playing with it, because it's very transparent. It's very accessible. It's user friendly. You can log in, get all the data. There's no hidden kind of corners. And you also have an account manager who's there to kind of walk you through it. And if you really want to control something, there's usually controls.
Cool.
To answer
So
your
let's talk about those account managers. We're hopefully migrating towards the end of the real intense part of the COVID-19 crisis, as countries and companies are starting to become acclimated to how to mitigate the risk and stuff to their health of their employees and such, and be able to actually open back up. I know in the U.S. we've had a real dizzying array of approaches by the states, and as a result, dealers have had to be hyper flexible in that regard. So if I'm giving you the platform to really brag about your agents and your team that works with dealers, give us some examples of proud moments that you experienced where they listened to a dealer, they sat there and thought through, what the dealer's fears were. Because what we experienced in a lot of states is shutdown, just boom. And I live in California, and they just locked the doors, and a lot of states ran into that. So what quickly followed was cut off the advertising. Don't want to pay for search or anything of that nature. Hand holding has to go in, empathy has to go in. Can you kind of give, and it doesn't have to be any individual, but just collectively, what made you proud of your team as service to your clients?
Wow, it was, as I'm sure everyone experienced, it was just such an intense period when you're going at 90 miles an hour and it feels like you just hit a wall, right? That was, I think, the experience all of us had. And obviously, in retrospect, you're like, well, I should have thought about that, looking at the news, but It is what it is, right? I really feel like our team was tested in ways that we've never been tested. And our company's relatively young. We weren't in the 2008 downturn, and maybe that was a similar experience. But what we did in the first week was try to be extremely sensitive to the health kind of concerns of the dealers, try to be extremely sensitive to the fact that they were all trying to get their heads around what's going to happen with their business. And so we didn't want to be overly aggressive and come out of the gate and jump on, a million outbound phone calls. Hey dealer, here's what we want. We said, whoa, let's wait. Let's try to pull together any data that we think is a strategic advantage for our dealers. Let's send that to them as quickly as we can. Let's make it very clear to them how they can get a hold of us for anything that they need. And let's make provisions internally to account for any concerns and issues that might arise. We tried to take any software that we could and essentially deploy it for either free of charge or whatever what we could justify, and just really be there for them. So we waited a week, kind of let people get settled, and then we called every single dealer with the message of, hey, we're here for you. We've sent out some stuff that kind of lays it out. We're sure you're very busy and don't have the time to really get into it, but just know that anything you need, anything we can do, we're available for. Then our next step was to come up with some concepts internally and try to deploy them as quickly as we could to the dealers that we work with. So, for example, we realized that dealers were really struggling with transforming all of their ads and on-site messages to be relevant in a socially distant world. Mm-hmm. We recognized that dealers were struggling with how to set up the new targetings. What does the campaign look like? Messages like, hey, come to our showroom, or in stock, those are not relevant anymore. What's working, what's not working? And so we basically took our product team and put them into this, round the clock almost hackathon to, as quickly as possible, update our system logic and try to find every advantage we can for our dealers on that sort of front, and then make it easy for them to access. Maybe I'll just show you this for a second, if I can share my screen.
Yeah, you sure can.
Okay, so I'll show you here. This is just a, tell me if you see my screen.
Not yet.
Screen 2. Okay, I'll show it to you here. Can you see my screen here?
Yep.
The demo account of our product, but I'll just show you one of the examples, one of the outcomes of that sprint, that hackathon of our product team, was this little thing, dealership services. So this is kind of where automation and human intuition and insight come together. We basically called our dealers and said, what's every possible thing you're going to offer during COVID? And they said, well, we're going to do extra cleaning after purchase. We're going to do test drive without a sales rep if it's allowed in our state. We're going to do trade-in appraisals at home, service pickup from home, extra cleaning of loaners. All those things we built in as switches in our platform. So a dealer could go in and say, hey, right now, literally for maybe the next 2 weeks, I'm going to offer extra cleaning of loaner vehicles. I'm going to turn that on. The minute that went on, our dealers had ads and messages on their website that were messaging that, and it was optimizing all the time. The minute they were done with that offer, they flip it off. There's no phone calls. There's no complexity. It's just an on and an off. Service pickup within 10 miles. If you have just terms, disclaimer, whatever it is, on and off. And that was an outcome of, David, our desire to really deliver for our customers as quickly as possible, and then make it easy. Because what internet director who's struggling to deal with a remote environment and set everything up, who has time to go fix everything? No, just flip the switch and it's ready to go, or call us and tell us, hey, flip these switches, we're ready to go. So that's an example, and I was really proud of my team, and our product team and our customer success team and our sales team. Everyone really just stood up and tried to help, essentially.
Yeah, that's remarkable. And see, I always love talking to you because you've always got something else under your hat that you.
Hey, I've got a big thing under my hat now, which we are very near testing and launch of a really cool video related product. So that will be the next thing I pull out from my hat when we. Yeah,
I love that.
It's very cool. Again, we're just all about our company is a very technology-oriented company, as you know. Our typical programmer is a top-tier programmer. We have mathematicians on staff, statisticians, and our whole focus is on taking every aspect of technology that we can get our hands around and making it relevant. And I'm not saying this about us necessarily. I think the best companies in the industry, the ones that are going to kind of define the future for dealers, are those companies that are saying, dealers, you know how to do your work. You know what it takes to deliver on, the sale of a car, the service of a customer. We're going to figure out every piece of technology that can help make that more scalable, effective for you. And I think that's a really wonderful thing to see, that partnership between kind of this really historic industry and the cutting edge of technology. They've really gone together nicely. They certainly go together in the vehicle, and they've gone together in the dealership. I think they're going to go together even more so over the next few years, because frankly, COVID is really accelerating dealer adoption of technology. I mean, you know it, David, from your clients. What dealer now is not thinking, wow, what do I need to service the digital experience? And there's just no question that that's critical. New buying segments are going to emerge, right? You're going to have people who did not previously want a car because they were comfortable taking, a bus or a train or a plane or whatever. They're going to be driving more. New emergent sectors, and maybe a one-car suburban family might become a two-car suburban family. If dealers are going to service that need and find those kind of new segments in the noise of search and social traffic, they really need that advanced technology to pull that signal out of the noise as those new folks emerge into the market over the next 6 to 12 months. So we're very excited about the opportunity here.
Yeah, I can just imagine. So if you can think in terms of the recovery, how do you feel like marketing automation is going to be a significant player? And you're in a very competitive marketplace, so I love the speed of innovation. I think for maybe a few days you have something, but my guess is looking at the pace of innovation for your team, people watch you all. But you're this little speedboat. Some of these others are literally ocean liners, and by the time an idea works its way up to the powers that be that make a decision for budgeting, you're sitting there going, "Let's do it! I think that's a great idea," and make it happen. Much like your example with the crisis and some of those real attributes that a dealer could offer. So, what do you feel like the automation platforms will do for dealers' recovery?
Look, there's probably, if I would boil it down, four major, I think of four things when I think about the next year or 2 years, and even beyond that. I believe there will be a migration towards a lot more in-house, partially because it does deliver ultimately operational efficiency. And if it's your core engine for customer acquisition and engagement, I think most dealers are going to want to own that in-house eventually. So I think we'll see a lot of that. And I think agencies will remain for sure. There are some great agencies in auto, but their role is going to shift a bit. And a lot of them will become, in some ways, like out of auto, they'll become a lot more of the creative drivers, whereas a lot of the performance stuff and sort of the day-to-day will be done with technology internally. That's one place where I think marketing automation is going to stand out. I believe there will be very interesting new tools. AutoLeadStar is not alone in dabbling in advanced technologies, of course, and segmenting, converting, and closing high-intent buyers. That is the critical challenge when you're dealing with a shakeup of the market. So all the campaigns, keywords, insights that existed previously, all that knowledge, historical knowledge, there are things that changed there over the past 2 months. And there are now new threads that have to be picked at and analyzed. So Google is very good at doing that. Facebook is very good at doing that. If the technology that the dealers are using to interface with those folks isn't attuned to, there are going to be real issues. And I think that's another place that marketing automation with intelligence is going to excel. And again, when it comes to buying personas, I think micro-segmentation is a concept that is well known to dealers, and the best dealers, and we can correlate the dealers that are most sort of savvy, they're very good at micro-segmenting, kind of like a political campaign. They really figure out what's that message that works for this very narrow slice of folks. That's another thing that marketing automation does very well. And then again, as I mentioned at the beginning, the operational efficiency you get and sort of the ability to own your own driveway, so to speak, and then your own storefront online, that's where automation is going to help. And dealers that are doing those things already, we have dealers at every level of the technological kind of sophistication in our portfolio. Obviously, we skew one way, others skew the other way. We see that those dealers, at least it seems, we built a couple indexes in our company. It seems like they dipped less, even in states where there are very, very draconian restrictions. They found ways to keep the machine, the wheels turning in certain ways. And I think that is going to be a powerful lesson for the industry, that there were dealers, when we look back, when all those, market share pump in, pump out report, when all the reports come out down the line and JD Powers releases whatever they release, we'll be able to analyze and say, hey, here are the dealers that bucked the trend, that went down 15% rather than 30%, that went down 30% rather than 80%. Why? And I think a lot of times we're going to see that those four things I mentioned, which are, I think, going to be the four themes of the future, were already in place in a lot of those dealers. So, they were fast, they were in-house, they had technology ready to go, they had efficiency, they weren't overburdened with complexity, and they could really micro-segment and figure out where the buyers are at this moment and what message do they need to see.
You bet. So interesting enough, when you think of business models, as a CEO of the company, you're all the time sitting there going, is that a good customer? Should we go after that customer? Should we go after OEM business and so on and so forth? What's the right customer? What's the sweet spot for someone? If you look at the customers that have been with you for a long time, what are the ones you're looking for, as opposed to, we'll take anybody, just call us today, we got a discount. I don't think that's necessarily your approach. I think you guys are very discerning from the standpoint of looking for clients that appreciate the technological advances that you all bring into it, as opposed to this churn, just bring on new customers, don't worry about the ones that left. Let's talk just a little bit about that from a theoretical standpoint.
Yeah, I think in any business, what I've learned is, what I've learned in our business is that the most important metric is retention. And that's true in a lot of software as a service businesses. But in automotive, I think there's a history of sort of a game of moving chairs around, musical chairs around vendors.
Yeah.
And again, not to analyze that too much, it's just, that's something that was very challenging for us when we first entered the market, was the idea that you're not signing up with someone for a year or 2 years to really partner with them and build a strategy that can excel. It's truly a, zero to hero. What have you done for me lately? month to month type of business. And essentially, I think that makes automotive vendors very, very effective. I mean, this is a very impressive group of vendors in the automotive industry. They deal with a lot of challenges, and they're tough as nails, and can handle really unbelievable ups and downs in the course of a quarter. So one, I'll give a compliment to every vendor out there in automotive. Dealers should appreciate that. Most vendors are good vendors, and what you see and the challenges they face are very significant. What I would say for us is that our ideal client is, first of all, they're very performance oriented. We try to get as close as possible to that question of, did you move the needle on sales? That is a very sort of, holy grail style type of conversation to have with most dealers, because there's every single aspect of their business is claiming credit for moving the needle on sales, because they know that that's the key function to gain retention. But we try to do as much as we can to really align with the strategy of that dealer and focus on performance. And if they are willing to look at data and are willing to have the conversations around, here's our philosophy on how you bring a customer to the store from the ad networks, and here's how we think about conversion rates and what is meaningful or what's not. If we're able to have those conversations, we tend to usually align with the dealer, and they really figure out, okay, wow, this technology works for my business to drive performance and sales. So one is just a comfort around those conversations and being open to them. Two is dealers who are I noticed that our dealers are sort of ones who are always wanting to improve. And you could say every dealer is, but there are dealers who want to have better results. But then there are dealers who want to build better systems and better processes and better kind of long-lasting frameworks in their dealership. And those dealers really seem to like what we do, because they see us as infrastructure. We're not we're not serving a function for them. We're building them a tool and a platform that they can use to get a competitive edge over time, and they know it's going to constantly be improving and evolving. So I'd say dealers, I don't want to call them dealers looking to future-proof, or dealers looking to embed innovation and data-driven marketing. But those are some of the things I'd say. I really am impressed with, I'm humbled every single time I talk to a dealer and talk about the car business, and just the extent to which they understand every aspect of how this business works is mind-blowing. And I'll say we learn literally every week. We learn enough from a dealer to build 3 new features. Of course, we can't build 3 new features, but we're always taking those sort of gems from dealers, and we bring them back to our R&D shop. We have our team in the US that's in the market. They'll hear things, or we send our programmers. Before COVID, we would send them to literally sit at dealers for a couple days and just watch. I would go volunteer at a dealership. Hey, make me a BDC person for a while, whatever we can do. And then when you get that insight, you say, wow, this is something this dealer does really well. Is this something that we could help them automate, or something that we could help them expand? And I think that back and forth and that creative tension with the dealer works really well for us.
Yeah, I can imagine. I actually do have a great product idea I'd like to share with you and see if you guys can do it. So is there a way to where your technology would identify customers who are willing to buy today, who have good equity in their trade-in and aren't going to ask too much for their trade-in, who have really great high credit scores and are willing to pretty much take any car on the lot that we need to sell? Is there any kind of technology that you could create that would help the dealer in that area?
Here you go, the perfect buyer. Here they all are.
Yeah.
It's so interesting. I think about it a lot, because if you let's take the data before Corona, because everything's changing now, and we'll know more in a couple of months. But at any given moment in any market, there is pretty consistently a certain amount. On Wednesday in the 50th week of the year, give or take, there's a certain amount of opportunity. Of shopping opportunity. And it's I always think of it as they're all standing over there across the street. Okay. And, we want to build the nonstop, never rest, no coffee breaks, no night times, no day. We want to build the marketing engine that works around the clock, because it is a robot, of course, a friendly, highly managed robot, but it's around the clock. While everyone else's lights turn off, our lights are still on, and they're going really fast. And I think if you do that and you tie your definition of what a good customer is to what the data is showing is a buyer that the dealer is happy with. And you could define happy, certain gross, certain sales turnaround cycle. If you do that and you tell your machine, hey, this is right now, this is what a good buyer looks like. Across the street are tons of people. Go find me those people. And truth is, you're telling them to tell Google to go find those people, because Google's very good at finding those people. Facebook is very good at finding those people. If you do it right, you actually can get to what you're talking about, which I think is tongue in cheek somewhat, right? Because there are signals, and, not to get into machine learning, that's a whole, as you said, buzzword, but that's exactly the point. There are things that can indicate when someone is that versus something else. It's not actually magic. I don't know how to do it, but my two co-founders and folks on our team are very good at thinking about those questions. We do not always get it right. Anyone who tells you they do is not speaking truth. But as long as I think we're always pushing the envelope to try to get it right in ways that give our dealers a competitive advantage, that's our mission as a vendor partner, not just a vendor. We have something, we sell it. No, we're a vendor partner. We're an innovator vendor, and we want to help you, dealer, figure out how to go across the street all day long and all night long and bring those people over.
Absolutely. Aharon, as always, it's a joy to talk to you. I love your enthusiasm.
I need to interview you, so we're going to pull you on a show, because you're far more interesting than I am, and I would love the chance to do that, and pick your brain and whatnot. So, David, it's great to connect with you as always. Thank you for the opportunity, and it's lovely to see you in this socially distant manner.
Yeah, no question. I look forward to seeing you in person real soon. Thank you so much.
You well. Take care, David. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Hey, folks. This is Aharon from AutoLeadStar. I just finished a great conversation with David, and he asked me to show everybody one of our solutions, Acquire. Acquire is our paid media automation platform. Think of it as like a marketing agency in a box, top tier performance, but fully automated with full dealer control and ownership, of course, but really something special when it comes to using all the most modern technology to give a dealership the cutting edge. And I'm gonna take a dealership. He asked me to use Jack Kain Ford, no connection, I'm sure, and I am going to onboard them to the product and just show you how instant it is, how truly automated it is. I do not know Jack Kain Ford. They're not a client of ours. I, in fact, did not even look at their website. I just put their details here into our little search box. I'm going to hit get started. And we're going to first confirm details. Once we have that, we're then going to go and do a quick little scan of their market, research who their competitors are, is their inventory structured, kind of build some analytics here. And we pulled out the Fords. You can go other OEM if you want, but here's some non-franchise. You could add them if they're a competitor. There's some more that are outside this radius, but fundamentally, it gives us a chance, system level wise, to know kind of what's the battle space that Jack Kain Ford is competing in. I'm going to hit continue, pick a budget here. It's $15,000, whatever it is, for all the advertising, Facebook, Instagram, Google. I hit continue, and actually, this is kind of like the magic button. When I press this, what's going to happen is our machine is going to take all the info we have about Jack Kain. We're going to take all the inventory that we just scanned, frankly, the images, everything that they have, and we're going to turn it dynamically into ads, into ad campaigns. We're going to create the accounts for them, and we're going to populate them with keywords and get it all ready to go and literally launch with the click of a button. So let's do it. Here we go. Creating your custom ads. Okay. Right about now. Okay. Yes, here we go. We are in. So let me orient you guys to what you're seeing here. On the left is a navigation bar. I'm going to do hardly any of this because this is not our full demo, just a little FYI here. But I'll touch on a few things. This is all your search ads, which is what you're looking at over here. These are all your display ads, which I'll click in a moment. And these are your social ads. And these are real, meaning these are real ads that were built off of the Jack Kain Ford inventory. And if I want right now, I can launch 866 ads. And those are broken down by objective. New inventory, used, you see 416 there, brand, dealer near me. These are sort of ones that dealers get a lot of clicks on, but sometimes they don't want to use them because they feel like their SEO is good enough. Competitors trade in, and you can turn things on and off as you want. So if I go here, for example, I see here's a ad for a Transit Connect. Here's an ad for a Mustang, and these are real, right? So this is targeting people who are trying to assess whether they can afford it. This is a Google concept of a micro moment. Can I afford it? And if I click here, I should get to a Mustang. Let's see if it works. And yeah, it's a Mustang. Let's see. And it's a nice looking Mustang. There we go. Jack Kain Ford. Going back to acquire, let's look at display. We should have the same experience. We'll probably get some dummy images here from just some of they probably have some coming soon. Yep, here we go. So, this stuff gets filtered out based on either rules or the dealer deciding what they want to do before things launch. But you can see these are the actual vehicles: Explorer, Transit Connect, another one, F-150. There's a Mustang. There it is. Let's see. I mean, look how fast that was, right? There was no complexity here. We just did it. And same thing for social, for Instagram, for Facebook. It's all following here. We use Facebook's whole kind of 4 strategies that they recommend to figure out how to build these things out. There's a lot more here, but what I do want to show you is one thing I noticed when we went live. If you saw here, some of these ads are coronavirus related, right? Safety and cleaning and sanitization. The reason those are showing up is because back here on the back end, in addition to lots of bells and whistles, you can actually turn on and off services that you want to tell people about, in your ad messaging and on your website. So extra cleaning after purchase, very relevant now. On, off. If it's off, those ads won't exist. If it's on, they will exist. It's instant. And we're always optimizing the ad copy and targeting to try to get you the best performance. Home delivery, do you do it? Do you not? 30 miles from dealership, 40 miles, 10 miles. And you can really control that stuff here with the click of a button. And it makes it so easy for dealers to turn things on and off based on whether or not they want to advertise them. And there's so much more here, dynamic number insertion and all the targeting used social differently than search, and on and on and on. The features are really powerful. And of course, we would always, be happy to show people stuff, show this on your store, and talk to you about it and think about ways that, this might or might not be relevant to you. But mainly, I want to thank David for hosting me and for allowing me to do this quick little